I want you to picture me as one of the biggest bulls you have ever seen. And I know I stand menacingly tall at 5'6", but just try and use your imagination. You know what? You can even call me El Toro if you'd like. I have these sharp horns like daggers, muscles bulging out of my skin, and hooves made of steel. One day, I was brought to fight in one of the biggest bullfighting competitions in the world, where the energy here was vivid. The music was playing, flags were swaying in the air, a roaring crowd, and beautiful flowers in all the lovely women's hair. And in the middle of this bullfighting ring was, of course, the one and only Matador, standing proud with his red cape and his shining sword. And then the gates opened. Whoosh! And I charged out of those gates. You felt the fear run through the crowd, and you saw the Matador begin to tremble, for El Toro was one of the biggest bulls they had ever seen before. But suddenly, my fierce charge came to a sudden stop. I took a look around, and then this big bull sat down on one of the biggest stages and began to smell all the beautiful flowers and the lovely lady's hair. Now, you all smell pretty all right. Only a couple of you didn't shower today, but you may recognize this story as the story of Ferdinand, one of my favorite childhood books that was read to me by my mom. And it's also written by Monroe Leaf and was published in 1936. Despite his scary stature, Ferdinand was a gentle and kind-hearted bull. He was never interested in bullfighting, but instead was interested in sitting by his favorite cork tree and smelling all the beautiful flowers that grew around it. But bulls were meant to be mean, were meant to be big and fierce, and butt heads and prove to each other who was the strongest and toughest of them all. You know how the saying goes, bulls will be bulls. I'm a marketing student here and want to understand the power of masculinity behind beautiful expression and powerful masculinity and recognized beauty. Asking myself questions of why this type of masculinity isn't promoted more. Why is it that these beautiful things and feelings cannot be openly expressed by men? Why do we feel like we can't smell the flowers too? Well, today, I'm going to be putting on my florist hat and diving into what started the seeded definition of what we have been taught around masculinity. Why we as men feel so tightly butted when we begin to try and express our feelings. All while then beginning to bloom into our own powerful and beautiful being as a man. I have always loved flowers, to their vibrant colors and their pretty petals. In elementary school, I would pluck out the yellow dandelions from my recess field with all the girls in order to give to our teachers. This was a memorable moment for me because I felt the beauty in giving, something I saw value in. Until the other memorable moment happened, as I was deemed gay because of it. And it hurt because I thought this was against what it meant to be a man. But I was wrong. Because as I look at the gay men I know in my own life, they have some of the most manliest qualities that I admire. But I couldn't blame my ignorance because this is how we were taught. Men don't wear makeup or paint their nails. Men aren't supposed to like pink or purple, and men aren't supposed to like flowers. It was clear that even the word beauty was not to be spoken from a man's mouth. That was the moment I realized that this newly rooted definition was to desensitize my love towards beautiful things. These yellow dandelions I had once seen as beautiful gifts soon turned into the rotten weeds they were defined to be. So we have to love other masculine defined things. And don't get me wrong, there is beauty in everything. For I too love watching the game with the boys, changing out my car's oil and using power tools and even building my body to be a Greek god at the gym. These are things I genuinely enjoy. But once we experience deeper human feelings, we avoid expressing them as men. Famous male Hollywood actor and movie director Justin Baldoni dives deeper into this phenomenon in one of his speeches by stating, if it's about work or sports or politics or women, we have no problem sharing our opinions. But if it's about our insecurities or our struggles, our fear of failure, then it's almost like we become paralyzed. At least I do. We correlate our learned definition of feeling anything related to femininity or vulnerability as a display of manly weakness. We see beauty as being soft. But I'm here to tell you that in order for us to truly grow as men, we need to see and recognize the own beauty within us. How there is beauty in admitting to our struggles and finding ways to better ourselves as men. There is beauty in men coming out as openly gay in a system that hinders them. There is beauty in men admitting that they care about their guy buddies. There is beauty in men complimenting other men. For there is beauty in men. So men, know that the sun is out and it's time to open up our butts. To get rid of this weeded definition that we were once taught and express the things we truly love. To adhere to those beautiful feelings that we have within. Cry when we need to. To express our love for others and express our vulnerabilities and insecurities. To admit that we have them. To not limit our abilities as men, but instead reach our full potential with it. Men, it is time to bloom. So how can we do this? How can we be this constant blooming flower? Well, to be honest, we can't. I myself am still growing as a man, and I'm constantly making mistakes. For there is not a singular step-by-step definition towards being the perfect man. But for me to be up here and provide a singular solution would be setting inequitable and unreachable standards for other unique men. So no, I won't simplify it down to a single breath, but I can share with you another one of my favorite experiences. At one of our local farmers markets, there's this man that comes down from Salinas in his white van. He sets up these beautiful buckets, white buckets full of flowers. And as he begins to set up his stand, I wanted to tell his story through a photo. So I came up to him and I asked him, "Can I take a picture of you?" And he quietly agreed and began to pose. As I prepared my setup and my camera, he looked into the lens with this tough, intimidating look. And on the other side of that, I felt like this trembling matador looking into a tough, tough bull. And as my camera clicked away, and I showed him the photo afterwards, this tough look, straight-faced look, soon turned into a warm, laughing smile. For he was proud of the photo that he was in. And he told me to send it to him on Facebook in order to show his son. I could have never predicted that. How that tough-looking bull would soon turn into that gentle, kind-hearted giant. That photo helped represent, for me, this beauty in men. By telling the story of how he provides for his familia with his passion. Because those batches of flowers mean so much more to him. It's not just a sale, but it is him brightening up a living room for somebody. It is in providing a beautiful aroma in somebody's home. And it is providing felt value to those who get these bouquets for somebody else or just themselves. And to other men, it's also more than just flowers. It's a small factor towards true expression. So I was able to capture this chain reaction effect of how this beauty was to be spread amongst other men throughout these local farmers markets. So as you can see through the pictures, smiles and beautiful passion through flowers. And I believe with all these beautiful men, they're showing their true expression through the simplicity of flowers. This is the beauty behind adhering to our true vulnerability and expression. You can even call it flower power. And within it lies the power of our own masculinity. Lastly, I want to leave you all with something to think on. A floral company conducted a recent study that determined almost 90% of men have never received flowers as a gift. It said that men receive their first set of flowers, unfortunately, at their funerals. Starting today, I would like to help change the statistic, because kindness and beauty should not be hindered from men. For that appreciation and love in our lives should not be wasted through traditionally taught inexpression. I want to encourage you all to give the impactful men in your lives a share of this beauty. A bouquet of roses, a couple of sunflowers, even be it just one small yellow dandelion from the ground. Because it was never about how sharp our horns were, or how big our muscles are, or how strong our hooves were. But instead, it's that beauty within us. To know that we can feel, we can be a man, and we can be caring. We can be there for others, and at the same time, we can cry. We can be strong, and we can be vulnerable. And as men, we can sit down and smell the flowers too. Thank you.